live chat. Do do do. Gotta fix this. All right, welcome, welcome, welcome. Waiting for some more people to join. So right now I'm mixing up, I got 3 ounces of epoxy because the first one I did was 9 ounces. Came here yesterday, earlier. I had to handle some business here, and then I came back here late last night to do another epoxy pour, but I forgot my unit number and my gate code, so that's didn't quite pan out how I would have liked it to. So welcome to the live. Welcome to the live. Chime in the comments section, and make sure you smash that like button. Let me know you're here. So just mixing up another 3 ounces, and I took my lady's car, so I don't have my lighter again today. I should have left it in here, but it is what it is. So a lot of my epoxy ended up leaking out, so I gotta make another small batch. Which this is gonna be interesting. Because I'm gonna have to pry the wood off. I'll show you guys. Yeah, what's up? Prison yard. So these pieces right here, epoxy leaked out. What's up, Medina? Thank you, Antonio. I appreciate you, man. So yeah, I backfilled everything that you see that looks wet. It's not actually wet, it's just dark from the epoxy, but gosh, look at that color. That color is amazing. Amazing. Here, I'll show you guys something cool too. So I had came across a gentleman yesterday. Look how funky that looks. That looks amazing. So I got to build like a mold or something, or some type of cast to like repair that chunk, because the other chunk is laying on the floor right there. And yeah, it's all right, Antonio. I understood what you meant. So you guys can see all the epoxy that leaked out onto the table. There's a bunch of epoxy down in there. That's all dry stuff though, but I'm gonna have to pry that off with a chisel or something, and then run all these pieces through my planer just to get it out. So I figure I'll go live really quick. So I'm just finishing up stirring up some epoxy, and I don't have my lighter, so do what I can do, you know what I'm saying? So let me show you guys. There's a bunch of bubbles in there. Kind of don't want those in your project. So that's why it's best if you have a heat gun or a blowtorch or a lighter to pop those bubbles. Uh, are are you still driving your truck for deliveries, or did I quit? I didn't quit. I was forced to. I was, very long story short, the rental rates went up, and we can't afford to pay the prices anymore. And what I mean by up, like they doubled, so I can't really afford it anymore. And double is on the cheap side, so we were barely scraping by with what we were. We were barely scraping by with the amount that we were paying. Um, let's get you a GoFundMe. Um, I wouldn't. I appreciate it though. You know what you guys could start a GoFundMe for is Toys for Tots, because I would really like to do another toy drive for kids this year. Because last year, if you guys are new to the channel, with the help of you guys, we raised $1,000 to buy toys for kids for the holidays, and it's on the channel if you guys want to go check that out at any time. That would be awesome. We could raise money to buy toys for kids for this upcoming holiday season. That'd be really cool. Is this a food segment? I wish it was. I really wish it was. No, my food segment was last night. I didn't record it though. I made a lasagna last night. Because for anyone that doesn't know, lasagna tastes better the next day, at least in my opinion. So I made a lasagna last night to bring it to my mom's. That's where I'm going right after here. But I got to go pick up the family, and then we're gonna head down to my mom's house, and then yeah, we're gonna head down to my mom's house, and then probably get some more footage down there. What's up, Ashley? Um, oh, I'm sorry. The chat is lagged. The wood looks good. Any idea what you're gonna do with it yet? No idea yet. So part of the process that I love about woodworking and stuff is that all these projects, all these projects, and all this wood, you know, I can always make something cool out of it. Like, I can, even though I don't have the idea yet, but once it's done, it's plain down. Like, guys, look at that color. It went from this color right there to that color. Like, that is gorgeous. And this is the natural color of the wood. Like, this is how it would look if it's wet. It's not wet right now. That's all dried epoxy. But here, I'll show you guys something. Let me go get it. 1 second. If you guys want to see what the wood would look like wet, get yourself some of this. It's called Danish oil by Watco. And this stuff really brings out the color in wood. Like, really. What I do is I'll go to Home Depot and I'll get some cheesecloths, and I'll bundle it, around like 2 fingers. I'll dab it and then rub it on the wood. You're gonna have to do it quite a few times because dry wood is really, really thirsty, so it'll really soak this stuff in. Ew, I got like petrified mouse poop on this. It's all furry and stuff, but this wood is gonna soak it all in, and it's gonna really make those natural colors pop. It's amazing, but it's best that you don't just dump it on. You gotta like wipe it on and like let it sit and soak in. So that's definitely my favorite thing to use. And during the I don't want to say the word, but during the situation we had, that stuff was really hard to find. Um, does this mean a lot of truck drivers are facing the same dilemma. Very possible. Yes, very possible. With a layer of epoxy. Richard Kearns, I'm not really understanding what your question is. Just got back from walking the kid to school and seeing your live. Yay, great to start a day, definitely. Have you always been so chill? I appreciate in your videos how you always keep your cool. No. Growing up, I used to have like a really bad temper, but um, sometime like sometime over the years between like my old boss teaching me to be cool, calm, and collective, and just learning to separate myself from the situation that I'm in and like really look at it overall. Like I had, I don't know if it was on a podcast or something like that. Um, and now I'll be the first to tell you that every situation is different. Not all the situations are going to be handled exactly the same. But if, at least in my experience and from what I learned from the teachings of this person, if it's not going to matter, like, if it's not going to matter 5 minutes from now, an hour from now, 5 years from now, should you even really put that much energy into it? Probably not. So I used to get really upset. I used to get like really bent out of shape about certain things, but over the years, I learned to accept the things that I cannot change. Um, Now, certain situations where you can change it, but you know, uh, the world doesn't just change for one person. So, uh, in everyday life, I'm pretty much chill. Like I I've really learned to separate myself from a lot of things, especially like drama, like even within like the family. Like it's just I don't have the time, I don't have the energy, I don't have the time or energy to figure out who's cool with who isn't cool with who's talking about who. I'm good. Like grandpa never threw out any old wood except for yo, oh man, yeah, he's stuck in the grandma, I'll tell you that much. So just by me letting this epoxy sit for a few minutes, most of the smaller bubbles have gone away. I'm just gonna rest this up against the wood so that the bubbles have a chance to pop. I don't have my car with me, so I don't have a lighter again. So and is Penske greedy? Um, I'm not gonna comment on that particular situation, but in light of everything that's going on, in light of everything that's going on in the world today, um, there are just some things I can't comment on. Um, but what I will say is that the price of everything is going up. What's up, Gamer One? Welcome, welcome. How you doing? Ah, living a dream, baby. That's a lesson. Yeah, it's a lesson for everyone. People don't realize how much peace and peace of mind can mean to you until you experience it. Like getting rid of toxic people in your life, getting rid of toxic situations, bowing out of a unhealthy relationship, whether it's with your significant other, whether it's with a family member, just because it's family, that doesn't mean you can't, for your own sake, you can't choose to be happy. So there's just certain things that can really rile a person up, and you kind of don't want to be a part of it. And if you don't want to be a part of it, then you have no obligation to be a part of it. So this is what it looks like when the epoxy has dried. This epoxy, however, has a lot of tiny air bubbles in it. And the way I could have prevented that is if I did a smaller epoxy pour and if I had a blowtorch. But I didn't. You guys saw I didn't have a blowtorch. I was trying to, caveman create fire. And I don't have a razor blade with me, but I should have a chisel. Um, Let me see if I could peel this tape off. No, it's not going to peel off. So in order for me to get this tape off, I would have to like shave it off with a razor blade. Or let me see, I got some scissors. Or I'll have to run it through my planer. Yeah, make sure you guys like the video. Hold on. Antonio, if you ever roll through Tucson, I'd like to buy you a meal at Wild Garlic Grill. It's worth the drive, brother. You're so right. Get rid of the toxic, I can't pronounce that word. Tox, toxic, toxic, toxicity. I think it's toxicity. So you can get this tape off just by scraping it. I'm only doing this to show you guys what it looks like when it's like completely see-through. But normally I would just sand this down. I don't to- toxicity toxic tox toxic you guys know what I'm saying. I don't know if you guys know this about me, but I struggle with certain words and certain acronyms. Like last night, I was on live and someone said, "Hey, are you near BJS?" And I'm like, "What's BJS? I don't know what BJS is. What the heck is that?" And someone said BJ's, and I'm like, uh, "Did I quit hauling?" I was forced to quit because our rental rates doubled, and I can't afford it. So now I get to entertain you guys. I got one of those last week. You got one of what? And I do appreciate the meal offer um, from that fine gentleman. I've never been out to Arizona. I think it'll be a pretty cool experience. I'd have to plan a trip out there, maybe do some content creating, maybe do some exploring. But I am working on building my YouTube staff back up because in case you guys didn't notice, in case you guys didn't know, I mean, I used to have a full team, and now it's just me, myself, and I. Oh, it's just me, myself, and I, solo ride until I die. I got that fire in my eyes. So, um, yeah, normally I would. Oh, you know what? I'm a doofus. Sorry. I don't mean to waste your guys' time. But this might be loud just for a little bit, but I think you guys will find it worth it. As far as I can see. I'm gonna change the sandpaper really quick because I want to show you guys what it looks like. And it doesn't help that this is probably 120. Oh, this is 320. No wonder. So this is really, really fine grit. If you need something more abrasive, you got to go with a number more lower. But I do teach you guys that on my woodworking channel, which I will start posting more on, assuming I can get my life together. And let's see. I know I got sandpaper around there somewhere. That's a hammer. I'm going to need that later. There we go. I just found some 60 grit. Just to get the, excuse me, just to get the tape off. Well, that's not the finest example, but whatever. I mean, I'm gonna end up planing it down anyway. It's just, or no, I'm gonna have to sand it down because I actually have some nails embedded in the wood, and you don't want to run that through the planer. That'll eat your blade quick. So, but you guys can kind of get the idea. You know, if that tape wasn't on the backside, you guys would be able to see right through that. But these are filled with epoxy, clear epoxy. And the gentleman that I was talking to yesterday, who stopped by my shop, he was asking, you know, why don't I just leave the cracks in it? And I'm like, I do leave the cracks in it, but I backfill it with clear epoxy. And he's like, why do you do that? He said, you know, you're covering up the character. And I'm like, I'm not. See, I like to let the character show in the projects. And that's why I use clear epoxy, because it doesn't take away from the project. It adds strength and durability to the project and stabilization. So, like for instance, let's say if I wanted to use every single board foot of this, but look, I got a split piece right here. So all I would have to do is find out which side is more flat, tape it up, and then backfill it with clear epoxy. And if I wanted to use this for a table, if I was writing and then my pen went into the hole, now I got a hole in my paper. But if I backfill it with clear epoxy, this whole piece right here is usable. So, and then this split in the wood right here in the middle, you know, you can open it. You can open it more and put clear epoxy in there, so it doesn't take away from it. It actually adds to the structural integrity if you use the right epoxy. Like for instance, this stuff right here, I have no idea what kind of wood it is, but it is beautiful. It's like on live, it doesn't even show. But like, look, there's cracks right there that I could backfill with epoxy. Or what I could do is I can put glue and clamp it. That's actually what I did a while ago. A lot of these pieces of wood, maybe not these right here, but I put glue in them, and then I use my massive clamps to hold it all together. Hang on, guys, I'm trying to get caught up. Toxicity. There you go. BJ's. Yep. Make sure you guys smash that like button. Oh, that was a small hand sander. That wasn't even the big guy. Sorry. Dude, empty the dust bag. Oh man, you guys complain a lot. Oh, did they ever make that small village at Toothpicks and Elmer's Glue? Nah, I didn't do that. Where's the mask? uh, Read the feed, little Frankie. What's up? What's up, Michelle? How are you? Uh, why not just make some wood glue and some wood chips? Is asking. Would you like to see those clear spots in the wood? Yeah, another fire session, Frank. Definitely. So maybe this week I'll go out grab some more pallets. That gentleman that I was talking to yesterday. Um, yeah, that guy I was talking to yesterday. See, like, look at that. That's gorgeous. He actually requested bigger and thicker pieces, and he has a lot of money to spend. Not that I really care, but basically he needs a lot of material, and he liked what I had. He just wished I had a lot more of it. So the gentleman that came through yesterday, like, look at this. Like, see that big crack? I would just tape that up and backfill it with epoxy. So if I didn't have all these projects here, and if I had like a storage shelf I could store all my lumber on and get all of this up off the ground and organize that area, I can make like the right side is like my woodworking area, and I could have one of my nephews come down and start taping stuff off and start looking up ways to make certain molds and stuff. To make this epoxy more structurally sound, and that way when we go to sell the boards, you know, it'll all it'll be like the boards don't have the crack in them because they will be backfilled with super strong epoxy resin. So most pallets are not oak. Well, thank you, Carrie. I appreciate it. Yeah, I mean, I used to do like some Monday motivation stuff. The neighbor behind the fence. Yeah, you're talking about Al. I was just talking about Tim the Two Man Taylor today because I was talking to the people at my local Dunkin', and we were we were talking about old like retro cameras and stuff, and I came across a place that actually sells like old vintage toys and stuff like that. I'm gonna flip you guys around. I'm gonna start pouring now. So most of the bubbles are gone. This could use a little bit. Um, and this place that I went to, they actually have. That might have been too much, but we'll see. Nope, it sucked it all in pretty much. They actually had Hot Wheels, but the home improvement set with Al. No, not Al. What was his name? That wasn't Al. That was Gordon. Gordon was his name. Yeah, that was such a good show. Um, Al was the other guy, and yeah, so they actually had home improvement Hot Wheels there, and I was like, huh? See if it takes any of that down. Yeah, see, there's still a void there. Not sure if you guys can see that, but it's eating it. will check the comments in 1 second. I'm just trying to get all this epoxy to backfill into this wood. But the only thing that sucks about using epoxy is like it'll never be this clear unless you buff it back out and you have to polish it. I actually bought a headlight restoration kit from 3M, and that's the fastest, easiest way that I found to do it. So, heck yeah. The void is filling back up. But, it's going somewhere. Alright. Ow, crap. 1 second. Your everyday motivation, keep it up. When things are rough, the breakthrough is around the corner. Way to keep your head up, like Tupac said. Yep. Thank you, TW. But I would much rather you guys start a GoFundMe to we'll buy some Christmas gifts and toys for the kids for the holidays. That would make me a happy camper. Alright, so I'm gonna stop pouring into that one. And now I'm gonna start pouring into this big one. So I'm gonna work from the right to the left. Give that a second to absorb its way in. And trying to get any and all epoxy to get absorbed. And let that get backfilled. And you always want to over pour, not under pour, because what's going to happen is that when epoxy dries, it tends to shrink. So, and I'm going to end up planing all this down anyway. So it doesn't really, it's not the end of the world if I over pour. Oh, Wilson. Yes, Wilson. Oh, man, I got that wrong. It's crazy when the Gordon character, even when he would come out at the end from behind the fence, the audience would applause. In the end, he still had a handheld face, handheld fence. Gift him a tractor if you can. Let's see. This void could use a little bit. Oh, and then that chunk of oak that had oh man, it had the hole at the top. The chunk of oak that had a hole at the top. I actually sold that piece yesterday. The guy was really generous. He was really cool, and I hope he's watching. Let me know how he made out. He said he was going to a lumber mill, and I said, dude, you make the kind of money that you make. Why don't you buy your own lumber mill? And I guess he didn't really know where to start, kind of thing. And I was like, dude, you can make your own lumber, make whatever you want, and you just got to have a place to put it and a place to dry it. See, I almost messed up. See how that tape is down there? I would have to tape that like that. Make sure it's stuck. And then try to backfill it. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to set you guys up right here. Oh, you guys can see all that gloss right there. Oh, it's beautiful. I'm going to get another clamp really quick. So I'll show you guys what I did. Sorry. So basically what I did is I just put another clamp with a stick to hold pressure up against that dam right there. So that way I can backfill that with epoxy. What's up, Big Mac Sam? Richard Kern said pallets are oak or southern yellow pine. We got maple. I got some birch somewhere over here. But, and then whatever this dark stuff is. And look at this. I backfilled that with epoxy. I would have to buff that out. Sand it down. But look at that. What's up, Leah Liz? I'm headed up to Connecticut in a few weeks. Colorado is gorgeous this time of year, but I'm looking forward to seeing your state in color. Yes, Helen, definitely. Do I have a lathe? No, I don't. A buddy of mine actually wanted me to get a lathe, but I'm like, I'm not the lathing kind of guy. I am not the lathing kind of guy. But yeah, I got all different kinds of wood from pallets and stuff. Like this stuff right here, I have no idea what that is. I got that chunk back there. I'm not sure what that is. That might be pine or something. But this right here is definitely one of my favorite pieces because of all that color and figure. All that gray stuff is epoxy, but this is pretty heavy. This one is heavy. Not really sure what these woods are. And, oh, see, I'm knocking stuff over. And then I think this might be like mahogany or something. I'm not sure, but I made some window vents out of this stuff for the Subaru. If you don't know what that is, race cars, when they go on the track, are not allowed to have their windows open. So in order to allow fresh air into the cabin, they put window vents. So it's basically a piece of carbon fiber or something with holes in it. And I made my own, so. Yeah, that's okay. Big Max M. I have a shop vac, and I can always go buy a bigger, heavier duty one, which I think that I will do when I get more serious into woodworking. But I got some Brazilian cherry here. That's not from a pallet. Forgot what kind of wood that was, but these two were donated to me. I got this funky stuff. This isn't oak, I don't think. And then I got some country maple right there. But this stuff is toxic to humans, hence the MB. That stands for methyl bromine. And that stuff that's pretty toxic to humans. So I've been told. So then I got these pieces of raw whatever that I could put on the lathe, and then I got some scraps of oak up here, and basically what I have on the table standing up right there is these were a part of my son's crib for the stringer rails. So what I did was I backfilled the void with epoxy just to make the piece whole again and make it, you know, usable. Uh, yeah, if you guys got the hookup with certain stuff, make sure you hit up Leah Liz. She needs it. So that is still taking down some epoxy. No big deal. This I will pour a little bit more epoxy in. And I will take my stick, spread it out. I mean, it is self-leveling, but, you know, I want to make sure I get it all. And then only if I have extra, I'll pour them in here. But as you can see, I got some pretty big voids right here. So yeah, so for anyone just joining this live, what I'm doing is I'm backfilling the voids in the lumber that I have. I use all reclaimed wood for my projects. I never buy anything new. So in order to give this wood and this crack wood a new life, I will typically backfill it with clear epoxy to strengthen the structural integrity of it and give this wood a new life. And hopefully someone out there appreciates it as much as I do. You know, all of this wood comes from, it's either donated or I get it from pallets that I break down. And these pallets are a lot of different species, uh, oak included. I will not deny that. Some of the prettiest wood, in my opinion, is oak. But right now I'm using an epoxy, a really expensive epoxy called liquid glass. And I actually make epoxy coasters out of it. And right now would be the time of year I would go picking for leaves and stuff like that. And I actually make drink coasters out of it. And I put fresh leaves after I treat them. I have to heat treat the leaves so that they don't rust. Not rust. What is that word? Oh man, it's starting to rain. Let me close the window so that the leaves don't. I forgot how you would even call it. Rot, not rust. Rot. I'm gonna put a new pair of gloves on because last thing I want to do is get epoxy all over myself, and it's for safety. So if I'm not mistaken, if you go on to the um, if you go on to the woodworking Instagram page, you guys can see the epoxy coasters that I make using leaves from the current year's foliage. When the leaves change colors from their natural color of green to like the yellows to the yellow into green, or the orange or the reds from the maples. So it's around this time of year I start making epoxy coasters, um, and I sell them as a set of four, and I use the prettiest leaves I can find, and then I have to heat treat them to draw out some of the moisture, and then I have to set them into the epoxy. And I always use clear epoxy to like fully encapsulate the beauty, so it's like the leaves are basically trapped in time, really. 1 second. All right, Richard, thank you for stopping by. I had a small shop myself when I lived in Iowa. I have a tiny shop now for handyman work and small projects. Do I have a drill press? I got these guns and I got a drill. I mean, Leah Liz, what I am doing. So, all of my wood that I have here in the shop is all reclaimed pallet wood. So these are like the slats, the boards, and as you can see, they got some really decent cracks running through them. So let's say if I wanted to use this board for a project like a table or something like that, in order to make this board fully functional, I have to fill that void or that crack, or glue it back together. So instead of forcing the wood to go back together, what I do is I leave it just like that because it's relaxed now. And instead of forcing it to go back together and get glued back together with wood, I mean with wood glue, basically what I do is I backfill it with clear epoxy so that it doesn't take away from the character in the wood. You guys can still see the defect and the flaw in the wood, but it adds strength and stability to the wood once I add the clear epoxy. For anyone that doesn't know, epoxy is plastic. It's liquid plastic. You mix two resins together, and uh, you mix two resins together, and then you pour it. So it's basically liquid plastic, and it hardens, and it's yeah. Thanks, Gamer One. So what I'm doing now is I'm just pouring liquid plastic into the cracks and the voids on the wood to give the wood a new life. So I hope that answers your question. So this is the natural color of the wood. This is what it would look like if it was wet. But this is just clear epoxy on here. I'm just trying to go in and just pop any bubbles. Normally you pop bubbles with a lighter or a heat gun or a torch. You kind of got to babysit it for the first few hours, and it's best that you do it in small pours. The deeper the pour, the more likely it is for you to have bubbles that have formed deep below the surface that you're not going to be able to get. So it's always best that you pour the epoxy in stages, so that way you can pop the bubbles in between the stages, if that makes sense. So all these are pretty much poured. Um, so what I do is I don't want to waste it because this epoxy is really expensive. Is I'll backfill. I'll backfill the stringer rails to give these oak pieces a new life, because these are offcuts from my kid's crib. And epoxy from this manufacturer is self-leveling, so you don't really got to do much spreading, but it's always helpful if you encourage it. And it looks like this is still sucking down epoxy, which typically means there's a leak or something in it. But that's okay. Hopefully it starts secure and it starts to grab. And like I said, epoxy, it shrinks, so it doesn't hurt if you over pour it. It just makes a mess. That's all. So, and then, what I'll be doing once I have more time and I clear off this table, or maybe I could get another table and start backfilling all these boards with all the cracks, because this is oak, that's oak. This is, I'm not sure what this is, but it kind of reminds me of like a red oak, but I don't think red oak is actually red, if I had to guess. It's weird how things work. But yeah, all these little cracks in the slats and stuff, I would backfill those just to make these pieces as usable as possible. I mean, obviously, I would run it across I have a table saw right here, run it across and clean up the edges, make them nice and flush and flat. But other than that, they'll be good to go. And then what I'll do is I already start collecting material to build a shelf. So all of like the cheap pine wood and stuff like that, I'll be using that stuff to build a shelving unit. So that, and I was thinking about doing it with the country maple, which is this stuff right here. Like I already have a bunch of, like this is country maple as well, but this stuff has all been sanded. I could tell by the fuzz that's on it. It's probably, if I had to guess, 80 grit, rough sanded. So to clean that up even more, I'll just run it through the planer, and then dispose of that separately, because I don't want that in that bucket. That's where I keep all the good wood shavings, and then I call up my buddy who has, like, I don't know, some rodents, or not rodents, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to say that, but he has some type of animals like a ferret or a bunny or something that requires animal bedding, and he comes down and he'll bring a trash bag or something, and then he takes all the wood shavings. Yeah. And then this piece right here. So Leah Liz, if you're watching, this is what we call like bark inclusion or live edge. So instead of cutting the entire board before that and then wasting all of this material and all of this material, um, what I would do is I would create a form that's as big as the widest piece on here, and then put tape over it. So the form could either even be like another board, like something like this, like a scrap piece, and then I'll put it like that, but clamp it together to create like a nice stiff edge once I put tape on it, to prevent the epoxy from leaking out. And what I'll do is I'll backfill it. It'll backfill the void. The live edge is still clearly visible, but it'll be encapsulated in epoxy, so you get more working surface. So, and here's some pieces that I glued together. You can tell by the darker spots. And then all I got to do is run that through a planer, and then it'll be barely noticeable. But the whole point of epoxy is to highlight all of that. So here's a nice chunk that I forgot to put with this one. So maybe I'll start visiting my local hardware stores and like, look at that. That's all spalt right there. So if you guys don't know what spalt is, it's when Mother Nature began to rot the wood out, but it didn't have a chance to completely rot. So I was talking about that the other day. If you go on to my Wood Shop Could Chop Wood Instagram page, you can see a spalted maple table that I built. But yeah, so I do have to work on quite a few things like dust collection, and here's some wood. I'm not really sure what kind of wood this is, but it has some pretty nice spalt in it. Spalt. Spalt. But the best piece is back here. Look at that. So that's all spalted wood. And then I know I have a crap ton of country maple pieces back here, that I could run through the planer. Yeah, that I could run through the planer and have some really nice pieces of country maple. And then back here, I got some other pieces of oak that I can make something else out of it. I don't know, but I really got to get all this lumber organized. That's why I got to build the show. But yeah, these are all offcuts of oak. So, and then those were bigger clamps that I bought to build my kid's dresser, but unfortunately, I wasn't able to relocate this year. So kind of like I planned to get a bigger place, and we don't really have space for the dresser. So I was going to build him a solid oak dresser, and I was going to need a lot more material. Oh my God! Look, I got a box of matches, Frank. Look at this. Someone call the police. Someone call the cops, please. I'll show you. I'll show you how. I don't even remember where the heck I got these from. Maybe I found them here. I don't know. All right. Oh yeah. Wow. Guys, it is not meant for me to start a fire. It is not meant for me to start a fire. You guys saw that. That that match literally started and then went right back out. Like there was no in between. Yeah. Yeah, so one of the biggest feats that I'm gonna have is taking this chunk and securely and safely adding it to this chunk because those two go together with the epoxy and making it structurally sound. So that's gonna be quite the project there. Yeah, you guys saw that. Like, I'm not making that up. It's like I lit it and then somebody was like, heck yeah. Yeah. So that's how that cookie crumbles. So it normally takes about a day or two for epoxy to fully set. Um, but for the first couple of hours, you gotta babysit it to make sure like all the bubbles and stuff are out of it. Like this is still sucking down epoxy, and I have no idea where it's going. Under the table, I can imagine, but yeah, it's all good. So once these are dried, I'll be able to scrape them from the table. Crap. Ugh. Yeah, once these are dry, I'm gonna be able to scrape them from the table. So I'll probably check on them in like a day or two, especially when it's cooler outside. Especially when it's cooler outside. And then I'll probably post some more content to my Woodshop Could Chop Wood channel where you guys can see me playing down all these pieces. I probably won't do it live because I need all my fingers, but I'll definitely set up the GoPro and record that for you guys. And then me building like a super simpleton shelving unit to store all of this wood, and then start breaking down some more pallets. So I got my pallet buster right in here. Didn't even get to use it yet. I bought it like almost half a year ago. So, but yeah. So now I'm gonna lift these gloves off, and then I gotta go pick up the family because it is time for us to skedaddle like Seattle, baby. Um, Once the epoxy dries, it will not be flexible. It'll actually have a knock to it. Like you can knock on it and it sounds solid. But while it's drying, it's you can tell that it's not all the way cured yet if it has a flex to it. So if it's able to flex and bend, it's not fully cured yet. In cooler temperatures, it could take more than a day or two. Like right now, we're in the middle of autumn, and it's yeah. Right now, we're in the middle of autumn, so it's not the easiest. But if I do it at home, uh, it'll definitely work out. So that's why I do when I make the epoxy coasters. Um, when I make the epoxy coasters, I make them at home. Julia, I'm on the way. All right, Helen, thank you for stopping by. Oh no, don't tell me that. That's wild. And one thing that sucks about my storage is that it's not climate controlled on the inside of like my unit, but they have units indoors that are climate controlled. I mean, I like having like what I need to do is get my own warehouse and stuff because my ultimate dream is to have a house on some land and my own machinery, have my own like little farm and my own sawmill. Have my own sawmill, cut my own lumber logs. Like that'd be sweet. Like look, they just tore down a bunch of trees and stuff over here. I could show up with my forklift and haul those away, or get a dump truck, have them scoop them into my dump truck, and then figure it out when I get back to the shop. Have a hose connect, spray it all off with all that dirt, so it doesn't dull out my blades. Be awesome. Get a couple little chainsaws. I got one. I picked one up for free. Somebody left it on the side of the road. But yeah. Slow it down, Frank. Why, does it look like I'm going fast? I'm only going 4,800 miles an hour. No, I was doing 43. And I got my hot cocoa. Super creamy. All Friends Gaming. I am Indian. Oh, your hot cocoa? I left the coupon at home. I actually did. All right, Michelle. Thank you for stopping by. I'll be sure to let you guys know when I'm going to start posting on the Woodworking channel and the Nostalgic 90s channel again. I'm trying to get those channels up in subscribers and views and stuff like that. Because I actually miss creating other content for you guys. So. It just sucks because when I got to do everything as a one-man band, you know, it's like I'm limited to what I can do all in a day's work, you know. Have a good day, Michelle. Thank you for stopping by. Thank you for all the love, all the support. Yes, sir, Antonio. Have a good one if you're leaving. What's up, Ben? Yeah, I'm actually headed home right now so I can go grab some camera gear. Got to grab my laptop. And yeah, I got more stuff I'm going to be doing today. I actually saw these new planer blades I wanted to get for my planer, but it's a lot. The planer blades are just as expensive as what I spent on the planer. Antonio Martinez, what happened to your worker? Did he quit or you let him go? Which one? Who are you talking about? I'm doing pretty okay today, Ben. Not too shabby. About to head down, see some family today. Oh, sorry. Yeah, about to go see some family today. Okay, what did he look like? Or which video did you watch that he was in it? Yeah, Kurt. So they were like these offset carbon tooth monstrosity of a barrel, and they're supposed to be really good. But I don't know. I don't do enough work. I don't do enough woodworking to justify spending $500 on blades. Like if I turn my shop into like a full-time sawmill, then I would. But I would have to get a joiner as well. And yes, the helix. The helix, yep. See, Kurt, we're on the same page, man. Same page. Let me get over. City bus acting like a whole school bus right now. Just dropping kids off on the corner, Frank. And let's see. Uh, just curious if finding good help was a problem or if it's an expensive business. It's not just good help, it's any help. Like right now, I'm currently hiring for a filming project I want to do, and it's either I can't find anybody that fits the script, or people reach out to me telling me that they want to do it, and then when I consider them, when I consider them, they never get back to me. So I'm on a standstill. What kind of work are you still doing? Well, I still do YouTube. I still create content for YouTube. Right now, I'm about to get back into woodworking. I met up with a gentleman yesterday at my shop. He wants me to provide him with a bunch of lumber. So maybe, and he loves reclaimed wood. So maybe I will. So maybe I'll reach out to him when I get more pallet wood with the dimensions he's looking for. Oh, you got a set for $300? Nice. Send me the link. Send me the link for that. Antonio, where'd you leave your email? Oh, he was the guy in training. Okay. So that guy you're talking about. So the best way that I can explain that, very long story short, he was when I had my contract with XPO Logistics, and they had just started a new contract out in the Catskill market, Catskills, New York, and we were supposed to do what was called RRT. RRT stands for Rapid Response Team. So basically, you go out there and we get paid a higher weekly rate so that we can accommodate for, hotels and stuff that, or motels or places to live for our drivers, because we can't drive sleepers out there because the trucks don't fit in most of the areas that we're going. And he was driving about 2 hours from home to come for training, and he was like really, really, really tight on money, and he was just trying to make the best with what he got and what he had. And then we like his everyone learns at their own pace, and there were some things he was getting, there were some things it would still frustrate me that he didn't get. But like I said, everyone learns at their own pace, and um he was like, at the point in training, it was like I would have just had to let him go off and be on his own, and basically he himself is gonna have to be the person who determines whether he sinks or swim. But the contract needed a few more weeks to be ready, and he wasn't expecting to keep making the trip back back out here for training, which is 2 hours away from his house. So it was a 4 hour commute every day, after, before work and then after work. So he would show up to work super tired, and then, I'm letting him run his route, and I'm just sitting there supervising. And there's days where he's like, "Oh, like the day is getting late," and I'm like, "Well, it's you sink or you swim." Like, I don't know what to tell you. Because if you were running this route by yourself without me here, and without me helping you with the little things, the day would take even longer. So with that being said, like, this is all on you. Like, I have no control over how long you take. And even with my help, he was pretty much running it, but with my help, he wasn't running, he wasn't running like the most efficient. So it took him a lot longer. And so, to answer your question, very long story short, he stopped showing up for training because we still offered to pay him for training, until the contract was officially ready. And he knew he needed more training, even though he didn't want to admit it. But it's just the money wasn't there for him to keep driving 2 hours out of his way. So he was expecting to be good and golden in a few weeks' time, even though he still needed time to train, and the contract wasn't ready. But when I pay people for training, why would I pay you like full driver pay when I'm still training you, or you're still training and you're still not running the route solo? So well, thank you, Ben. I appreciate it. All right, thank you, Kurt. Yeah, no problem, Antonio. Hit us up, man. Definitely. So, but yeah, I'm about to go in the house. I gotta go grab my equipment and then get ready to to march on with the day. So I do love you guys. Be good, be safe. I'll see you guys on the next one. And any more future woodworking endeavors, I will announce them on this channel, but you guys will have to go over to the Wood Shop Could Chop Wood channel. So if you go on, for don't, to our main YouTube, and then you go over to the link that says channels, all of our other channels will be linked there below. So we actually have two other channels. We have one that's called Wood Shop Could Chop Wood, and the Nostalgic 90s. So yeah, make sure you tune into those. Make sure you guys subscribe and hit the notification bell, because I'll be working on time for me to do my last mo. Yes, sir. So I will see you guys on the next one. And make sure you guys smash that like button, leave a comment down below. Thank you guys for sticking with me. This was only supposed to be like a 15-minute live, but things tend to go slower, you know? So it is what it is. But I'll see you guys on the next one. Be good, be safe. Later.